location. This meeting is accessible in real time by Zoom, by phone, and is a live broadcast on Amherst Media Channel 9 and live stream. Please be advised that this meeting is being held in person and remote, and with the option of that being courtesy. In the event of technology issues with the remote connection, the meeting will continue in person as scheduled. Given that we have a quorum of the council present, I'm calling the July 21st regular town council meeting to order at 6:31. I will call upon each counselor by the name they have indicated they would like to be addressed. At that time, please unmute your mic and say present. This will indicate that we can hear you and you can hear us. Please remember to mute your mic after saying present. Pat DeAngelis.
Present.
Anna Devlin Gothier.
Present.
Counselor Ette.
Present.
Lynn Griesmer is present. Counselor Haneke.
Present.
Bob Hagner.
Present.
Counselor Lord.
Present.
Pam Rooney.
Here.
Counselor Ryan.
Present.
Kathy Shane is going to join us, but she may be late. Andy Steinberg.
Present.
Jennifer Taub.
Here.
Counselor Walker is planning to join us, but may be late. There's no chat room for this meeting. If counselors have technical issues, please let Athena and me know. To make a comment or ask a question, please click the raised hand button. There will be one general public comment period during this regular meeting. Please note on your agenda that we have an upcoming council meeting on August 18th, 2025 at 6:30. And we have a variety of committee meetings. Community Resources Committee will meet on the 24th of July and August 14th at 3. Finance Committee will meet August 5th at 2. GOL, Governance, Organization, and Legislation Committee, will meet on August 12th and August 26th at 6:30. And Town Services and Outreach Committee will meet on August 7th and 21st at 10 o'clock. There is no hearing tonight. We will move on to general public comment. If there is anybody in the room, at the town room, please make sure you have signed up with Athena. She is off to your right. If you're in the audience and you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand at this time. Athena, how many people have signed up in? Two, thank you. And at this point, I see no no attendees on Zoom that have raised their hands. So, public comments are a matter of the jurisdiction of the town council. Within the jurisdiction of the town council, residents are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during general public comment. Public comments are not reflective of the opinions of the town council. Please make sure that you are looking at the clock as it goes forward. Let me also mention that the First Amendment broadly protects individuals' rights to address the government, to speak, and to express themselves, including their rights to say hateful and offensive things. I am generally unable to shut those commenters down under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution unless their level of speech falls within an exception articulated by the courts, such as fighting words, true threats to a particular individual, harassment of a particular individual, or incitement of imminent lawless activity. If a question exists as to whether a particular speaker is engaged in unprotected speech, I must defer to the principles of freedom of speech. We'll recognize speakers in the order in which they have signed up. Those in the room, Athena, please proceed.
Todd Way,
Yes.
come on up and speak into the microphone. Please state your name and where you live before you begin.
Hi, Todd Way, 169 Summer Street, apartment 28, Amherst, Massachusetts.
Please proceed.
First, I'd like to say thank you guys for taking time to hear me. As a project of self-improvement, on my daughter's birthday, which is April 23rd, I started collecting litter in my neighborhood. And I found it very soothing to walk nature and pick up litter. And about a month into the project, and I was very excited because the amount of litter day to day had gone down, and it gave me great hope that, the community in whole felt as I did, that it's very important for the litter, to not be part of nature. Shortly after that, I noticed that the Cumberland Farms on Montauk Road had removed their garbage can from their right outside the door. And after speaking with the manager, he cited a corporate policy that they removed it, and there was nothing he can do or was willing to work with me on. So I spoke with the town council, and they informed me that it was a private building, so they had no jurisdiction. And my hope is that there's a bus stop, which I use daily, and right there. And it's the key entry point for the library, for Cumberland Farms, the pizza place. There's a post office and Mill River Park that all connects right there. And if we were able to put a garbage can there, I feel that it will greatly reduce the amount of litter that's in that area. And it'll give the community a chance to throw their garbage away, which I believe ultimately is what, Amherst residents want. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Todd. Next speaker.
Vince O'Connor.
Please begin by stating your name and where you live.
Vincent O'Connor, 175 Summer Street, apartment 12. As a result of some early morning adventure, Sunday morning, I found out that there was a mixed homeowner tenant neighborhood that, unknown to any of us who have immigration rights concerns, had organized itself because of the presence of vehicles which they could not identify in their neighborhood, which had been sort of surveilling their neighborhood. They had created a social network group, identified vehicles not only by description, but by license plate and so forth. And so even though the council's priorities, I don't know where immigration is on the individual councilors, but it has become the priority of neighborhoods that feel threatened by the presence of individuals who refuse to identify themselves, who may be from ICE, but they also may be people who have stay away orders from certain residences, who may be criminals casing neighborhoods. And so what we have is a situation where there is no definitive word out of the mouth of the manager that goes beyond saying that we don't cooperate with ICE. What we need is a definitive word that says, if citizens or a citizens group calls in on the 911 line and says, we have observed this, these individuals are engaged in this activity, that the dispatcher will not say, well, is that ICE? They will say, what is the nature of your emergency, and where are you located? We need a definitive statement from the manager that 911 calls will be answered appropriately. And for those who are concerned about police officers and so forth, the the district attorney was on the show that Bill Newman and Buzz Eisenberg have on WHMP. I heard a repeat of it Sunday, 8 days ago. And the district attorney made it very clear that anyone who violates Massachusetts laws with regard to the arrest or detention of any Massachusetts resident, regardless of their immigration or citizenship status, should be arrested.
Vince, you need to wrap up in the
Okay.
next minute, please.
And so I think that the statement is out there. The DA is willing to prosecute, or he wouldn't have made the statement he did. And I think we need a definitive statement from the manager and the chief of police saying that unlawful activity will be, will result in arrest, prosecution, and the citizens of the town will be behind our efforts to do so.
Thank you for your comments, Vince. That concludes public comment. We are going to move on to the consent agenda. And I'm going to make a motion, and if there are any people who would like, counselors who would like items removed from the consent agenda, please raise your hand after I read the motion. To move the following items in the printed motions thereunder and approve those items as a single unit. 9A 1 to 3, approval of the following town manager appointments: Human Rights Commissioner Alexandra Torina for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Milan Clark for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. Waiver of Town Council Rules of Procedure 8.2D for agenda items 9A 2 to 3. Appointment of Amber L. Martin as Town Clerk. Extension of appointment of Rob Morrow as temporary planning director. The following are approval of the minutes, and it's 11A to D, May 12th, 2025, special meeting minutes, May 19th, 2025, regular meeting minutes, June 2nd, 2025, special meeting minutes, June 2nd, 2025, regular meeting minutes. Are there any requests? Seeing none.
Second.
Thank you. Thanks for the second. We're going to move immediately to the vote. And we'll begin with Anna Devlin Gothier.
Aye.
Counselor Ette.
Aye.
Lynn Griesmer is an aye. Bob Hagner.
Aye.
Counselor Lord.
Aye.
Pam Rooney.
Yes.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
Kathy Shane is not here. Andy Steinberg.
Aye.
Jennifer Taub.
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis.
Aye.
You
And-
skipped Counselor Haneke.
Counselor Haneke votes aye.
I'm sorry. I missed you. Thank you. Thank you very much. There are no resolutions or proclamations this evening. There's no presentation or discussion items, and there are no action items. So except those associated with appointments, and we have just approved those on the consent agenda for the town manager. So we're going to move to the town manager is ready to form a building committee for the Department of Public Works. The committee description is in your packet. If there's any questions regarding the committee for the Department of Public Works Building Committee, please raise your hand at this time. Counselor Haneke.
So I wasn't sure I'd be able to ask this item because this is a appointment item, not questions about the charge, but you asked for questions about the charge. So my question is, given that this charge indicates that the DPW building will be located at the site of the present DPW facility. What's the plan for the fire station?
So if I may,
Please.
so one of the reasons, previously I had presented you with a building committee charge that included the DPW and the fire station. We do not have a location for the fire station. I did not want to delay work on the DPW until we have a location for the fire station. We are continuing to explore locations and doing some due diligence on locations that might meet the criteria of the fire department, but I don't have a location to move forward on at this point in time. The DPW is at such a critical nature right now that we really need to get moving on the DPW, and then I'll set up a separate building committee for the fire station.
Counselor Haneke, did you have any further questions on that?
Yes, at the last presentation of this, you said fire would be at Hickory Ridge, so clearly that is off the table. And I had requested or asked whether the two locations could be switched. Is there any reason DPW cannot go at Hickory Ridge so fire can go at the DPW spot?
Yeah, so we originally had picked Hickory Ridge as a location. The prior fire chief had said that was a location that was acceptable to him. The new fire chief said that that was not a good location from his point of view, and I want to choose a location that meets the current fire chief's criteria. It's not a big enough site for DPW at Hickory Ridge. So I think, the placement of a DPW is really challenging as we've experienced. Every location we look at, there's always some barriers. Choosing a site that already has a DPW has a pre-existing condition in terms of the environmental status that it has. We feel like that would be the best location. It's an excellent location for either the DPW or the fire. So we're hoping to be identifying a location. Well, we're doing some due diligence on a location relatively near there.
Pam Rooney?
Thank you, Mandy, for asking that question. So would the group being formed actually not discuss the fire station at all? Or would that be added to their, possibly added to their charge?
So I think I'd create a separate building committee because I think they're going to be on different time frame, and this building in and of itself will be a complicated building. And I think, if we can get the people to serve, initially I thought there was going to be some efficiencies in terms of staffing, but actually with Bob Parent here, his responsibilities for both the school and the library are ratcheting down, he'll have more available time to help support these two committees.
Okay. Counselor Haneke?
Yes, just one more question. Term of appointment on this charge is length of the building process estimated to be 5 to 7 years. Have you thought about for the counselor spot, making that term of appointment just for the term of the council so that each new council gets to choose its own new representative to the building committee?
Yes. So this is how we've done the other building committees. So I want to be consistent with how we did the elementary school and the Jones Library building committees. And as counselors, if they choose not to run for reelection or aren't reelected, their role on the committee will be eliminated because they're there filling the seat for a town councilor, so someone else would take on that role. I think that in terms of continuity, once somebody's on the building committee and having them swap out every 2 years, I don't think would be such a good thing because, you're building up knowledge about the process, and I'd prefer not to have to ramp somebody up every 2 years to help them learn about the building project.
Anna, you had your hand up. I wondered if you had a question.
It was less, I suppose it was a question. I was curious how open you were to reconsidering that last point, but you explained pretty clearly, I think, why your rationale for keeping it that way. I think something that I've observed is with every new council, there are inevitably new faces. And even though the on-ramping may be challenging, sometimes someone better suited for service in a particular role comes along. And so I think I do understand why you wrote it this way. I'm a bit stuck on would have liked it to switch over with the council terms. I also recognize this is how we've done the other committees. I'm just not convinced that's the best way, but I hear your points.
Are there any further questions about the charge or any other questions regarding this before we move to our discussion of counselors interested on the committee? Okay. Pam Rooney.
I would like to express my interest in being on this committee. I know I serve right now on the Jones Library Committee, but that is a once-a-month commitment, so it is not a heavy lift. And if this is an opportunity, I'd love to explain why I'm interested.
Point of order, can we please confirm that Kathy can hear and be heard?
Yes. Kathy?
Hi, I can hear and be heard. I
Thank you.
apologize for coming late.
Thank you for joining us. Pam, you've started the next section, so let me do this. We will start by asking all counselors who are interested to raise their hands. Once we've determined the list of those interested, I will ask that each person provide comments, brief comments regarding their interest and what they bring to the committee. Finally, we'll ask each counselor to vote for one counselor. Reviewing the results, we'll then decide how to move forward from there. So Pam, you have your hand up. Anna, you have your hand up. Are there other people interested? Counselor Haneke, you have your hand up. Okay. Kathy Shane, you have your hand up.
But Lynn, I have a question, since I just missed the discussion. If I'm
Yes.
not running for council, then I shouldn't have my hand up, correct?
That is correct.
Then I'm taking my hand down.
Okay. All right. Are there any other people interested in this? And let me just explain before I go on to others. I did not raise my hand. I'm strongly interested in this, but I have significant other obligations right now with regard to the council, including the work that we're trying to do with the schools. So Pam, Anna, and Counselor Haneke, let's try to stick to about 2 minutes each, starting with Pam Rooney.
Great, thank you. I have been excited about this project since we knew we had a need for it, so it's been a long time. The 2016 Weston Sampson report was very thorough. There's a whole lot of information that's already been prepared, but I think that this is a really great time to just put my skills to work as a landscape architecture, doing site design, traffic circulation, pedestrian circulation has always been a consideration for layouts. As a project manager for federal construction projects, I developed space needs programs. That was the basis for cost projections, for sizing the building. I wrote requests for proposals for design services, and I helped select the designers, developed and reviewed bid packages, and teamed with contracting officers to oversee construction. While I was at UMass, I was responsible for space planning across all colleges and all departments, and made recommendations to the administration on their space needs. Again, for relocations, renovations, whatever the need was. I also helped develop standards for space allocations, and I think that would all come into play in helping review what has been projected for the needs of the DPW. So I would really appreciate and really enjoy putting my skills to work for this project that is long overdue. Thank you.
Anna, please proceed.
So I have not had the opportunity yet to serve on a building committee. And I have sort of been biding my time for this and/or fire. While I'd be happy to serve on either, when I was on TSO, I had the opportunity to get a lot deeper into the water and sewer regs, the most thrilling few months of my life. And in working on those in the past, I learned a lot more about the intricacies within the needs of DPW. I was able to, when I would meet with Amy or Guilford, see the building as well as the tours we got to go on as counselors. And the need for the new DPW became so apparent. But what's very compelling and interesting to me about this project is the variety of occupations, of types of work that have to exist within one space. So what I bring to this is the ability to listen to the voices of the folks who are using the building, as well as the residents who also use the building. People go get sand, people do all sorts of things where they interact with DPW. I am not coming from a design background, but I see the role on the building committee as one of ensuring that needs are met. And I am bringing the ability to talk with people and to hear that and to loudly advocate for those voices. I am an active voice. I am not content to sit back. And I feel fairly strongly about the DPW building moving through. I'm looking forward to seeing how we might create a building that meets the needs of DPW now, of the DPW team now, while considering how the building will need to evolve into the future and making sure that we're not in a place in 10 years where we're realizing, oh, wait, we missed something. But a very thorough look into how this project functions and advocating for the folks at the core of it, which are the users of the building. Thank you.
Counselor Haneke.
So as with Anna, I have not yet served on a building committee, and I agree with many of what she said of what I believe a counselor should bring to the building committee. But I also want to mention one other thing that I believe I bring that I think the council needs to have on that building committee and that the council representative should be, which is someone that highly looks at and considers and asks questions regarding the finances of the committee. The finances of the building and the proposed building and how those finances can be controlled and the cost of the building can be controlled while simultaneously trying to meet and ensuring that the needs of the DPW are met. We've had a great example in Councillor Shane on the school committee in that regard. And I think that has served the council and the town well. And I think we need a counselor that can do that for this committee. And I believe I'm a counselor that can do that.
Okay. We've heard from 3 different counselors. I'm going to ask the clerk of the town council to call names and have her record the votes for the various individuals. Athena?
Councillor Ette? It's for,
Pam?
so you're letting us know Rooney, Shane, or Haneke?
Pam Rooney.
Sorry, it's Rooney, Devlin Gothier, or Haneke. I'm so sorry. That's okay. Kathy, you said never mind. Councillor Ette, you said Rooney.
Yes, Rooney.
Thank you. Councillor Griesmer.
Haneke.
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 Hegner.
Rooney.
Lord.
Devlin Gauthier.
Rooney.
Rooney.
Ryan.
Devin Gautier.
Shane.
Rooney.
Steinberg.
Haneke.
Taub.
Rooney.
Alicia is still absent. DeAngelis. Haneke. Rooney has 5. Devlin Gothier has. I'm going to vote for myself, please. Oh, sorry. That's okay. 3 and 4. Rooney has 5. Haneke has 4. Devlin Gothier has 3.
It's always nice to have a quorum of a majority of the council voting. Is there anybody who would like to withdraw their name at this time?
I can withdraw my name to make it more interesting in the final round,
Okay,
but I hope folks will keep me in mind when fire comes up.
thank you, Anna. All right, we'll go back and vote again.
Start
Athena?
with Devlin Gothier. Haneke.
Ete,
Rooney.
Griesemer,
Hannicky.
Hannicky,
Hannicky.
Hegnar,
Rooney.
Lord,
Rooney,
Rooney,
Rooney.
Ryan,
Hannicky.
Shane,
Rooney,
Steinberg,
Hannicky.
Cobb,
Rooney,
DeAngelis,
Hannicky.
now we have 6 and 6.
It certainly made it interesting, Anna.
I can put my name back in.
Are there comments either of you would like to make at this time? Pam? Actually, let me have it, me and Counselor Hannicky go first, since you went first last time.
I mean, my service for 7 years, I think the council knows what I can do on a committee. And so I'm not sure I have much to add to what I've previously said.
George, you have your hand up.
Just a question. Click my note, but let me,
George, your microphone, please.
Councilor Rooney currently is sitting on the Jones Library Building Committee. Is that correct? Or, so
That
she
is-
is sitting on a building committee right now.
That is correct. Anna?
I'm happy to explain my withdrawal of my own name and my support of Counselor Hannicky, if that is permissible.
Please.
So we've seen one of the things that I found admirable. I've had the opportunity to work with Mandy a few times on bylaws. I've had the unfortunate opportunity to disagree with Mandy on many things. And I think the reason why I am supporting Mandy and why I comfortably withdrew my name in support of Mandy is that Mandy approaches any project with the how do we make this happen and meet the objectives we need to meet. She's not coming in with, and this is not at all saying that Pam does these things, just to be very, very clear. But strictly when I have worked with Mandy, she is bringing a clear-cut attitude of how do we get this done and meet the needs. There's not any sort of agenda. There's no preconceived notion. She's willing to change her mind. She's willing to ask really hard questions, even when they make people frustrated with her. That is something that not a lot of people have the ability to do, and it's something I deeply respect about Mandy. So I would, the reason why I'm supporting her on this committee is that I think that there are very hard questions that need to be asked, and that those questions need to be persevered upon, if that's grammatically correct, which Mandy does. So lastly, I think just my own personal reasons here, I think that Mandy's familiarity with our clean energy codes and all of the work that we are trying to do towards our sustainability goals, I believe that those will remain at the forefront as she goes through this because of her familiarity with them. I don't think that anything will slip. So that's why I'm supporting her.
I'm going to pause for a moment and ask Pam Rooney if she has additional comments she would like to make.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I probably should clarify some of my roles in the past. When I was a project manager for the federal government, we constructed office buildings, work buildings, and as part of my role, I always took a very, very close look at the activities that were being planned, the functions that needed to be in the building, the ability to house them in one structure or another, but it was never a guarantee that because somebody wanted something was a reason for it to actually be included. It was it was a process of evaluating the actual needs as opposed to all of the desires in formulating a very tight square footage and space allocation, which formed the basis of the cost estimates. And I was not known for being luxurious. I am pretty frugal New Englander. So I always question if something is needed or not. But if it is needed, it is included for sure.
Okay, then I'm going to go to Kathy Shane.
Thank you. As I raised my hand and took my hand down, I very much would have liked to volunteer for this committee because I learned so much on the school committee, but building. But one of the things I want to say that was very helpful to me was Pam Rooney. Pam walked both sites with me, Wildwood and Port River, and she looked at the contour maps and looked at the building designs that were being proposed and talked about what fit well where and what kinds of decisions when we were dealing with 3 possible building options on 2 possible sites. She has since then, the 2 of us, walked all of the DPW current site, all of it, all the way around it and through it. And then we went up to the Ruskin site and walked that one to be initially envisioning if we're going to be building on 2 sites, what the one site could be while the other site was being built. And that was a level of diligence that I think Pam would bring to this. And I can't tell you how helpful it was to me that on the school side, her ability to read a contour map and talk about the slope of a hill and where the building could or could not be on that building in terms of the restrictions on Wildwood, but then also walking on the Fort River site. So I think that prior experience working with a building with designs and looking at floor prints and looking at square footage is essential. And I wished we had had someone like that on our committee. I had to be a really quick learner. We had terrific people from the schools who knew how the schools were going to be used, and we had one architect. But we didn't have that same walking and thinking and questioning. So I think we're bringing a technical set of skills that will be needed on this particular committee because of the complexity of it. And I'll end there.
Jennifer Taub. Please unmute. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Kathy just said everything I would say and more. You know, I don't think there's anyone on the council who has more professional experience and training that's directly related to this kind of building than Pam.
Okay. Are there any other comments? George Ryan, Councilor Ryan.
Yeah, I think as often the case, we have many qualified candidates. I really think the emphasis on professional background, expertise, et cetera, while valid, when you look at what the manager is being asked to do in the charge, I assume much of that will be covered by the residents. We also have a capital projects manager and the superintendent of public works. So I respect Councilor Rooney's background, and I think if she were not on another building committee, I would have voted for her. But she is already on another building committee, and it seems in a council of 13 people where we have many, many qualified individuals, and we have at least 2 in this case, 3 originally, who are interested in serving, that I would need some justification for putting the same counselor on 2 different building committees.
Okay. Andy Steinberg.
My comments are similar to Councilor Ryan.
Please speak into your mic.
I appreciate, much of what I was going to say has already been said by Councilor Ryan, but I want to first of all thank Councilor Rooney for her service, which is continuing and will continue for some time on the Library Building Committee. I think that it's extremely valuable to have the continuity and the expertise that she's brought, and I appreciate that. I feel like it is good to give more than one counselor the opportunity to serve on building committees. The town manager will be bringing through his staff a lot of expertise. There will be a lot of expertise on the committee. And So it's simply, for me, a matter of trying to recognize that it is desirable to have more than one counselor have the opportunity to actively serve on building committee that is underway, and that is what is driving my vote for Councilor Haneke.
Okay, Jennifer and Kathy, you both have spoken. Are there additional comments? Jennifer?
Yes, well, the Jones Library Building Committee doesn't meet very often. I don't think it's taken that much of Pam's time or maybe even expertise. We might want to ask Pam if there is a strong feeling, there's not for me, that she can't be on both, which she'd rather serve on. Councilor Haneke represents the council on a number of committees. I believe she's on the working group that's going to represent Amherst with the other schools in the region. I believe she's on the Joint Capital Planning Committee. I mean, she's on a number of, but she is on that school committee. I think that she has been elected by the council to serve on a number of bodies that we elect representatives for. But I can't believe we would deprive ourselves of Pam's, professional training and expertise and years of experience building just these kinds of projects. So if there's a strong feeling that she should only be on one, maybe the Jones Library, which I think meets infrequently, or the DPW Building Committee, that we give her the choice.
Kathy?
Okay, I'm just going to come in on the Jones issue. I think it's a red herring. The Jones, all the key decisions were made before Pam got on that committee. So all the skills we're talking about, George, you were on it at first, and then you couldn't continue, and then we had another counselor on it. But the design decisions, the square footage, what was going where, the green energy decisions. Pam came in at the point the whole project was being bid out, at the tail end of it. I'm not saying that's not a key piece, but big decisions had already been made that would play to her skills. So I just think we should have different counselors on others. I don't know what people would have said if I was still going to be on the council on whether I should continue on two or not. And I would have, at this point, the elementary school building committee meets a half hour a month because we're at the building is being built. So I just don't think it's an issue. I think it's an issue of key skills. And I can't tell you how much, when you say they're duplicate, George, more is better. We were missing some of these skills on the school building committee. And we were really fortunate with the design team and some of the other pieces that we had, that pieces didn't fall between the cracks. That's all I have to say.
All right, seeing no other comments, we'll do one more round of voting. Athena, please.
Reesmer,
Haneke.
Haneke,
Haneke.
Hegnar,
Rooney.
Lord,
Rooney.
Rooney,
Rooney.
Ryan,
Haneke?
Shane,
Did you just say Shane?
yes,
Rooney.
Steinberg,
Haneke.
Taub,
Rooney,
DeAngelis,
Haneke?
Devlin Gauthier,
Haneke.
Ete,
Rooney.
we're still 6 and 6.
Yes. Counselor Ryan, you have your hand up.
Well, just a thought. It looks like we're deeply divided, and at this point, perhaps we just need to move on. There's no absolute necessity to decide. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to decide it tonight anyway. And maybe it'll be left to the next council.
Jennifer?
or do we vote when we have all 13 counselors here at a future meeting?
That's another option. Okay.
Was
All
that
right.
a motion to postpone?
There's nothing,
Councilor
there's no
Ette,
motion
you
on the
have-
floor right now, so can you postpone nothing?
It's
agenda item.
it would be a motion to postpone the thing. Councilor Ette, you have your hand up.
Yes, there's no guarantee that at any future meeting we will have 13 councillors.
True. Given that we don't seem to be able to come to a conclusion this evening, we'll postpone it until we meet again on the 18th of August. Okay. We are going on to the next item on our agenda. The next item on the agenda is a report from GOL. It is to nominate.
Point of order,
Yes.
a report from GOL. We have a non-voting member finance committee appointment to make on
Right.
the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Is that where you were moving?
That was where I was going.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilor Haneke. I'm going to let me just go to the motion. I'm going to put the motion on the table. I'm going to ask then for Councilor Ette to provide a report, oral report of the meeting. And since he was chairing that meeting, the motion is, hold on, I'm just getting to it. To appoint Joseph Jane as a non-voting member to the Finance Committee effective immediately for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Ette.
Thank you. This is a short report. On July 15th, the members of the GOL committee had a meeting, and this was to interview 3 candidates for 2 positions on the finance committee. This would have been non-voting positions. After the interview and proceeding from the deliberation, we had 2 candidates that we were looking forward to bring forward to the council. One of those candidates has since withdrawn their desire or their candidacy to be on the committee, leaving only one, and that is Joseph Jane. This was a vote, the first and the top vote choice we had, and it was a unanimous vote made up of 4 of the councillors on the committee. I'd like to say that the 3 candidates all had fascinating and interesting things to say about what it means to be a non-voting member on FinCom. And so it was good to hear from all of them. And on behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank all those who submitted their candidacies and those who were selected for the interview. I think a final note I'd like to make is that it means we have 1 position that is still open on the non-voting side, and we look forward to hearing from the public and those who would be interested in filling that vacancy.
Are there any other comments from other members of GOL? Are there any questions from the council?
I have a point of order.
Yes.
Was there a second?
There was a second.
Oh, who seconded it? Oh, thanks. I missed it.
Yes, Bob Hagner.
I don't have a question, but Councilor Ette, I would appreciate it if you could give us, as someone who used to be a non-voting member on the committee, give us a sense of the discussion you had about what people thought of the non-voting role on the committee.
Thank you. Could someone else who was at the meeting provide that sense? I did have some notes taken, but if anyone else from GOL could talk about this to Councilor Hickman, that'd be fantastic.
Pat?
Bob, could I have a clarification? Are you talking about what the candidates thought about non-voting membership?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Councilor Ete brought up the issue that there was a good discussion about the role of the non-voting member.
Right.
And I just was curious about.
Right. I think that there was a strong feeling by each of the candidates that they had very distinct ideas to offer to the Finance Committee, but they each had a sense that while they couldn't vote, their support and their collaboration would be welcomed and part of the decision-making process as it has been on finance. So I didn't, there was no feeling like it was not an equal position in a certain kind of sense. Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Ete?
I think some of the candidates brought the idea that non-voting members feel a niche in FinCom where they get to speak not as those who are running or have run for election, but that they get to have their ears on the ground in the community and are aware of spaces in which one could have more equitable distribution of resources from the town. And so that was good to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up. It was really important.
Right. See no other hands, I'm going to move to a vote. This is a vote to approve Joseph Jane as a non-voting member of the Finance Committee, effective immediately. I don't know exactly where we left off the vote, so I'm going to begin with Bob Hagner.
Aye.
Councilor Lord.
Aye.
Pam Rooney.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
Kathy Shane.
Yes.
Andy Steinberg.
Aye.
Jennifer Taub.
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis.
Aye.
Anna Devlin Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilor Ete.
Aye.
Lynn Griesmer is an aye. Councilor Haneke.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We'll now move on to the next item, which is committee and liaison reports. There is nothing for BCG. CRC, Pam Rooney.
Thank you. Our meeting on July 10 was canceled. We did not get our material posted in time. So this Thursday is our follow-up meeting. Primary discussion is solar bylaw. And then we will also discuss when to tackle the ADU and the fees in lieu of affordable housing, affordable units. So that will be the discussion on this week.
Okay. Elementary School Building Committee, Kathy Shane.
Yeah, we met last Friday. We meet once a month, and the basic good news is the building is continued to progress. It's way on schedule. The outside of the building is now on. So it actually, you can see the window shapes in it. And several of us on the building committee will have the privilege of walking up the stairs to the top floor and looking out from the top floor on Tuesday afternoon. We're getting our own special invite-only site visit. So it's quite exciting. Almost more than half of the geothermal system has been put in place. And one of the questions I was asked during the committee is unrelated to the construction was the federal credits for geothermal. And for any of those who follow the minutia of the truly horrible bill that was enacted, OBBBA, they preserve geothermal. That will be okay because it's anything that started, but it doesn't phase out till 2032. And then solar is kind of a question mark because it's written in a very odd way. But that piece, that direct credit, and that was the biggie. Paul is nodding his head. It was by far the biggest amount of money of what we were hoping to get back. And again, that we don't get that back until the building, you kind of turn the lights on in the building. That's when you can apply for it because it has to be functioning. But but it's really a good news to see this. And I think people know, but we have, because the bids came in under budget, we have a healthy contingency that we're not likely to have to draw on because of the progress, other than weather and overtime because of the bid protests. So we're in really good shape on the building.
Kathy, I just want to say it's so exciting to drive by that site. I'm seeing other counselors like Anna grinning because it's just so exciting to see
No,
the progress, and thank you so much for the role that you've played in it.
Well, I'll get the pictures posted because Angela was not there at the end of Friday, but the cement floor is actually on the first two floors. And so you can actually see it is a building at this point. It's not just the steel, and all the steel work is done. So it is, and it's sheer joy to see it moving along.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Anna?
Okay, so I'm not trying to bring up something that was wildly unpopular last time I mentioned it, but Kathy, I'm curious about the lights at night. How long is it going to be remain fully illuminated throughout the evening?
You mean the building site?
Yeah, the building site.
I have no idea, but it's a good question. I'll ask.
Thanks.
I have no idea. Right now they've been able to, I think part of that's for safety because there's all the equipment, there's the equipment and supplies lying around, Paul, but it's something we can ask about, when some of the major, the big cranes and the sharp steel borders are out there. But I'll ask.
Just purely curious, and yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Point of order, Counselor Walker is here. Can we confirm that she can hear and be heard?
Counselor Walker, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Lynn and Athena.
Thank you. Counselor Walker, we're on to the committee and liaison reports. Moving on, Finance Committee, Kathy Shane. I don't think there's been a meeting, has there?
Since I'm losing my time zone. We had a meeting that Bob chaired while I was out that was mainly to look at the third quarter results. And then we established that we were trying to figure out whether or not to have a meeting in July, another meeting in July. This was end of June, but then the meeting I saw on the agenda, Lynn, you've already got it right. Our next meeting is August 5th.
Right.
We're going to start to look at some of the issues that are being discussed among the four towns, in terms of what does next year look like. So, but the whole focus of the other meeting was the quarterly, and then thinking forward about capital. I mean, we have a capital reserve, as everyone knows, that we built up. So one of the things that we just had a discussion, no decisions on, if DPW starts to get moving, do we use a big chunk of that toward that building? So rather than just keep it in the savings account, actually start to draw on it. So that was the summary. And anyone who wants to, it was purely discussion, not big ticket items. And the other draw on it is if we have excess at the end of the year, the crying need for roads. We all were agreeing that roads should be a top priority.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for finance? GOL, Anna and Counselor Ette.
Absolutely. Counselor Ette, would you like to? I was not able to go to the last GOL meeting. Counselor Ette, do you have an update?
Yes, thank you. So we did have the interviews on July 15th, but prior to that, on July 8th, we worked to get the questions for the interviews and also to send out information needed for them to answer those interview questions. The main update from GOL in that case would be that we, that is members of the committee, wanted to know the necessity and perhaps efficacy, if it's necessary to have a replacement member for the charter review committee. And we were looking at the timeline and how long it would take and what would be required to onboard whoever it is that ends up being a member of that charter review. And so we wanted to raise with the council if it would be a good use of time to find a replacement member for charter review. That's, I think, the main update.
And let me just add that following that discussion, I did have an opportunity to meet with the chair of the Charter Review Committee and get a sense of their timing. They are actually beginning to really wrap up their public outreach. Many of you are aware they have a survey out there and they've been holding public meetings. And then they will begin to actually do their deliberations. There will be a point in which they bring their recommendations, if you will, they'll be drafted at that point to the public for comment, and that they will actually then probably come in with their final report in January to the new council. I just wanted to add those particulars. Athena, you actually are staffing that committee. Do you have any other comments on that?
No, thank you.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, if I'm recalling correctly, that the member of the Charter Review Committee that withdrew did so in February. So
Yes.
So
We
how
have
did it
not been
take-
able to get sufficient people to declare the pool sufficient.
and did you go back to people that had applied the first time that weren't selected?
Yeah.
Yes, people would have had to resubmit an SOI as per our rules. So personally, I'm planning to have that topic on the agenda for August 12th for the next GOL meeting, because to revisit the number that we have, we've received another one relatively recently. However, it was not on the last GOL agenda, and the ones prior to that, the pool was not sufficient.
Can I ask how many there were?
Give me one moment and I'll pull my list again. I may come back to me. I need to
Okay.
pull it again.
Thank you.
But can I follow? Oh, sorry. Questions, but then I have a quick addendum to the GOL
Yes.
report as well.
Please,
George
ahead.
can go first.
George, and Councilor Ryan.
So I guess I'm just asking for clarification, if possible, from GOL. Are they asking the council whether we feel strongly that we must fill this position, given the timeline, given the difficulty in filling it, given the fact that they're still trying to fill it? Are they looking for a sense of the council, or are they forging ahead to still try and fill this position despite the timeline, despite the fact that they've had enormous difficulty filling it? I guess I'm asking, are you looking for something from us, or some discussion of that? Or should we just wait until the next meeting?
Councilor Ete.
From the committee, I think it's a temperature check from the council, and knowing that perhaps further conversation also with the charter review committee to see what their needs are, because if it ends up boiling down to a vote, even if you have someone that may not contribute substantively to the process right now, that vote still counts. So I think, want to get a sense from the council what the expectation is, and then also a sense from the charter review committee as well.
Okay, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get clarification, since there must have been several CAFs that were submitted originally for the Charter Review Committee. Were the people who submitted a CAF contacted to ask if they would be interested in filling the vacancy?
So I can reconfirm that I got everyone on my list. I did email folks and invited them to fill out another CAF. They can't automatically get put in. They have to fill out a CAF again. So I will cross-check and make sure. And if I missed anyone, I will email them again. And I'm just pulling my list because we can't pull the actual like spreadsheet. We have to go back through our emails to make sure that we have gotten all the CAFs counted. I believe right now we have 2, possibly 3 as of July 9th.
Although I think one of them is probably withdrawing.
Well, right, but I don't know that unless they've emailed me specifically withdrawing their CAF for the Charter Review Committee.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just, all, you know, due
Jennifer, I'll
respect to-
double check to
yeah,
make sure that I
it just
emailed everyone,
seems
but
like
again,
we've let so much time go by that now it seems like, is it?
I would argue that we have not let the time go by. We have continually checked on this at GOL. Unfortunately, we cannot force people to submit a new CAF. I'll double check that that everyone from last time was emailed. It's possible that I missed one in going through my search function.
Councillor Ette?
I'd also like to second what Anna said. We depend on what comes from the public and the interest that the public has. And that interest is expressed through the CAFs that are submitted. There haven't been enough CAFs submitted, not just for charter review, also for finance. As we can see, we still have a spot that is open. So I don't think it is necessarily correct to say that we let things slide. We simply went with what was available to us based on those who submitted CAFs.
Jennifer, you have your hand up again.
Well, I just want to respond. Yes, no, I understand. I'm not trying to say GOL didn't do its due diligence. I'm just, so how does word get out? So there's contacting those that submitted CAFs the first time to ask if they would, and I guess, submit a new CAF, or the same, just resubmit the same CAF. And then in terms of outreach to the public, how would people know that you were accepting CAFs to fill this position?
It's the same way as when
It's
we're
just posted
seeking
on the bulletin
CAF,
board.
right? For zoning board or planning board or finance, the same way. Unfortunately, there's not, individuals can do, their individual counselors can promote it to their networks. I would argue that's the responsibility of all of us as counselors, not just GOL, but individuals could do that. And then we can, hopefully the Charter Review Committee might reach out to folks, but there is not an official mechanism other than the town bulletin board. I do know that the town social media person has, or communications person, excuse me, has pushed out all of the vacancies on social media in the past and encouraged applicants that way. I know we're also seeing lower numbers right now for all these positions. So I am open to new ideas for how to reach out to other folks, but we also want to make sure that we're not only targeting specific populations when we do outreach. We want our outreach to be really broad. So that's my long-winded answer of saying town bulletin board.
Okay. Councillor Ryan.
So I don't sit on GOL, but 5 of my colleagues do. And I, at least, I give the benefit of the doubt to my colleagues and that they do their job to the best of their ability. They clearly have had difficulty getting the public to respond. It looks like there might still be one last effort to be made. I think at this point, given the late date, given the timeline, it seems like it's, well, I'll leave that comment aside. But when they come back at the next meeting, I think we need to find out if they have any viable candidates. If they don't, I think we should simply, I would suggest that we tell them that there's nothing magic about the number that's currently sitting on that body. Perhaps it was too big to begin with. So trying to fill it seems like enough is enough. And also, I'm not sure it was the intent of Councillor Taub, but I think this committee has tried very hard to fill it, and they've struggled to do that, and I don't think it's their fault. So let's see what happens at the next meeting. If they continue not to have a sufficient pool, if they continue not to have enough applicants for whatever reason, then I think at that point we should tell them, stop worrying about it.
Jennifer?
Yeah, no disrespect was meant to GOL, but I heard from at least one person that had submitted a CAF the first time that they were not contacted. So I don't know. That's just what I heard secondhand. So I would just say if we could check that everyone who submitted, because that seems like there were definitely more people that applied, of course, than were selected, is to go, that's what we do on CRC when we're filling for ZBA or planning board is the first people we contact are those who have submitted a CAF within the last 2 years and ask if they'd like to resubmit. So it would just be helpful to know whether those people
Yep.
who submitted a CAF the first time didn't want to be considered again.
I'll double check my records, and if I missed anyone, or even if I did email them, I can email them again. But I hope all counselors,
Well, no,
they
if
are
you
in a
reached out
situation-
once and they didn't,
One
that's
moment,
their
one moment,
choice.
please.
Yeah.
If they're in, I got it. If any counselor is approached by someone in that scenario, please tell them to just resubmit a CAF without being invited. Anyone who wants to be considered needs to submit one within the past, since it was posted. And so please, if you can reach out to that person and hopefully they'll submit one without even being invited, but I will absolutely go back through and double check that I got folks, and I will email them again for good measure.
Thank you. The Jones Library Building Committee, Pam Rooney.
Thank you. Jones Library Building Committee actually did meet on July 14, first meeting in some time. It reviewed invoices that had been reviewed by others, and it was actually not clear what the role, the value of this committee will be, because there are so many decisions that are made already that a lot of the approvals are pretty perfunctory. So that's the position right now for the Jones Library Building Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn, could I just really briefly,
Please.
my last piece of the GOL report was
Yes.
that we do not have a quorum for our meeting tomorrow, unfortunately, but we will be meeting again on August 12th. So plenty of time. If folks know people who might be interested in submitting that CAF by then, please do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. TSO, Andy Steinberg, George Ryan.
I submitted a written report, which was
Yes.
brief, but really covered the topics we discussed at the last meeting. At the next council meeting, we will take, I assume that the council will be taking up the recommendation that was reported on regarding the Heatherstone Road mini roundabouts, and that is a decision that is reserved to the council by the town council policy on the public ways. And we will be submitting a more detailed report of our recommendations and the reason for it to assist the council in its discussion. So I think that that was probably the major focus of the last meeting. And we're continuing to work on the public urination bylaw that was referred to us. And that's a work in progress. If you're interested in seeing what other municipalities in Massachusetts that have some regulation that covers that topic, it is in the packet. I did provide the link in the committee report, and they are very different from each other. Some really are very different from the goal that the police chief put forward in recommending that we consider such a bylaw for Amherst. And so it is worthwhile to get a sense of the variation, and in the a lot of them are connected to public nuisance house bylaws. So and that wasn't put forward as a reason. So I guess that's basically the report at this point, unless there are questions.
Are there any questions regarding TSO? Thank you. Liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports? Pat, you had your hand up. I did see it. Please speak into your mic.
I wanted to fill people in on Disability Pride. That last council meeting, we approved a proclamation making July Disability Pride Month, and there was a flag raising ceremony on the Common this past Wednesday that was well attended both by public and counselors. And it was incredibly meaningful to the people on the committee, particularly to Myra, because she got to hoist the flag. And it really, it meant an incredible a lot to the people on the committee. And from there, we walked over to the Bank Center because the Amherst Commission for People with Disabilities joined with East Hampton and Northampton's commission, and there's been a free film showing. And last Wednesday after the hoisting, there was a film called The Road Here, or The Road There, I'm not sure. I think it's The Road There, at the Bank Center. And when we first got there, members of the committee, we thought, oh God, no one's coming. And we had 24 people who came over. And thanks to a program that's happening at Amherst College right now. So it was quite a success, and I encourage people to see the film in Northampton on the 29th, which is Treewalkie or something like that. I could, if you want that information, I have it and I can give it to you. Thank you.
Are there any other liaison reports? Seeing none, we've approved the minutes. Paul, town manager's report. Do you have a written report? And Paul, are there highlights?
Sure. A few things I want to mention. First, we've been talking a lot about committees. So we're going to be recruiting for a number of committees. The Amherst Black Reparations Committee, which the council had approved the charge at its last meeting. That will be, we got a quote today from one of the key members there. And so that's going to go out tomorrow. We'll be looking for the Cable TV Advisory Committee. As you know, the license with Comcast between the town and Comcast expires in August of, I think it's of 2026. So this advisory committee will help us do what they call the ascertainment, which is we listen to the public and to Amherst Media and other places and say what kinds of services and things that we are going to need in the future. Typically, these contracts are for 10 years. And then that moves into negotiations with Comcast about the license extension. We're also looking for you already talked about the DPW Building Committee. And so we'll be recruiting for that as well. We're looking at using the rest of July and August as recruitment so we can start getting loaded up for this fall so we can get started in September for these various committees. I'm also establishing a Cherry Hill working group and the charges in your packet that's attached to the town manager report as well. There'll be 2 members from the Recreation Commission on it, and we'll look for other members of the public to look at Cherry Hill. It's a perennial issue that comes up about whether we know it's not making money, whether it should be making money. If it's a service that the town wants to continue to provide. Are there alternative uses for the location? So there's a lot of questions that we want to explore in preparation for the budget for FY27 budget. So we wanted to get this work done this fall and get just some data for the council and for the manager to move forward on. So with these committees, just like you talked about with the Charter Advisory Committee, it really depends on people stepping up, putting their names into the hat and saying, I'd like to serve. We do, our communications manager is excellent at promoting it, but I think the real energy comes from you as our elected officials who have networks that you've cultivated over years, and asking you to help us recruit people. You know a lot of people, everybody goes to you, and we will continue to send you things that we're positions that we're recruiting for, and if you can help us promote that. And a lot of times what I have found is that people just don't passively sort of, oh, I want to serve on a committee. Some people do. We get a lot of people who just put their names forward. But if you know someone, you say, you should really think about this. That's what typically motivates really good candidates to put their names forward. If you think you should think about this committee, you would be really good on this committee, and encourage people to put their names in. The process for the town manager appointments is, we interview everyone, and we have a committee that interviews. The interviews typically are about 15 minutes. It's not public, so the only names that go out are the names that have been appointed. So it's not a sort of popularity contest necessarily. We really include the committee chairs and the staff members and the residents advisory committee. So if I enlist your support, your help in recruiting people. Another really exciting thing we're going to be doing this fall is we haven't really named it yet, but it's civic engagement seminars. Our communications manager, Samantha Giffen, has been working with a student intern this summer, Abigail Bowen, who is a student at Amherst College, to put together a group of 8 sessions on Wednesday nights, where we're going to help we would like to educate and engage people who typically aren't engaged in local government. That's really the audience that we're shooting for, and to teach that, help them learn about local government. A lot of communities do this. We've been wanting to do this for a long time. This summer we had the energy and the direction from Sam to move it forward. So we'll be sharing more information about that. We're in the final stages of naming it and finalizing it. It looks like a really strong program, and it'll be like a series of Wednesdays. So one night it'll be on public safety, one night it'll be on public works, one night it'll be on schools, whatever it is. They have a series of things. So that will be really exciting. I want to thank you for appointing Amber Martin as our town clerk. I think she's going to do a terrific job. We will now be recruiting for an assistant town clerk, which is the next stage. So again, if you have people in mind, that might be good for that. In my report, there are a number of, I want to call out what it took to get our pools ready this summer, especially right before the heat wave, but also for Independence Day, the fireworks. Just tons of credit to the university for the amount of staffing and support and resources they dedicate to having this. It's the largest event that the town puts on. Becky Demling from the Recreation Department and everybody at Rec and our office and fire department, especially DPW was there. A lot of people work to make this a really exciting event. It's one of the most heavily attended and most diverse attendance groups that the town offers. And we dodged some rain, and it came off okay, and the community band was there. It's just a really huge, wonderful event. As Pam noted, the Jones Library, the contractor Fontaine Brothers is starting to mobilize. They'll be in the next week or two. They'll be here this week, starting to bring in, portable toilets and things like that. Doing some, getting some grounds prepared, taking down a couple trees, things like that. You'll start to see some activity. Then they'll fence off the site and really begin construction work. So that's about an 18-month process. And it's exciting to get that moving forward. And as Kathy said, with the elementary school, that building that just keeps trucking along, really terrific management by Bob Parent on both of these projects. And then the OPMs have been superb. So in the OPMs, they're ramping up this week as well. I also want to note that our comptroller, Holly Drake, has submitted her resignation. After 25 years of service to the town, she's chosen to take on choose a new chapter in her life. So we'll be recruiting for a comptroller position as well as the other positions that we're recruiting for. There's a lot of turnover happening. And so we're in the mix with like everybody else. And so if there are any questions on anything I put in the report.
George, Councilor Ryan, you have your hand up.
So as always, Paul, thank you for a very informative report. Lots of information, lots of good news. Senior Center Game Room, thanks to Representative Dom, is opening, which is great. The Silver Shuttle is back up 3 days a week, which I'm happy to hear. I was struck by the numbers about the pools during the heat wave. According to the report, we had almost over 1,000 people using the War Memorial Pool during that 4-day period, and over 1,300 at Mill River. So for those of our colleagues or my colleagues who wonder why we have 2 pools and whether they're popular, I thought those numbers were quite interesting. And Paul, just a quick question. It was a free swim. Was that because of the heat wave or?
Right. So we have a pretty good system in place now, led by our fire chief, our public health director, and our communications manager, who really set up standards for what to expect during certain heat waves. So the more severe heat waves, when it's extended period of time, we do announce that the pools are free. On more moderate heat waves like we had last week, we'll open up some cooling centers or places where people can fill their water bottles and people can gather. We've noticed that there's an uptick in people utilizing some of our centers with the Jones Library being closed. So we've been promoting more access to the Banks Community Center. But if it's really hot and it's, during, we will make the pools free. We lose revenue, and it's we need to maintain the revenue. But for these super hot days, and especially if Puffer's Pond is not available as a cooling location, we feel like it's our responsibility to make sure people have access to pools. The other piece of it is that there are a lot of camps that use the pool, especially War Memorial Pool. So they're often at the pools as well.
So on that line of heat and summer, and I know you're doing the best you can, but it'd be nice if the Gruff Spray Park pad could be put into operation as soon as possible. Apparently, according to the report, maybe this is dated, but it says the park spray pad is still not functional. Is that a mistake?
Oh, no, yeah, it's a mistake. It's been
Oh,
functional
okay.
for,
All right.
I mean,
Okay.
it
That was
it's a
okay.
finicky system. They're,
Right.
DPW is
But
down
it's
there
up and running.
almost every day, even on weekends, they're trying to get it up and running. So it's, but it's been running pretty regularly. In fact, the complaint we are having is, we're trying to monitor is like people, kids riding their bikes through it, and they're not supposed to have their bikes on the, and so people utilize it not ways that we intended, but it's certainly is functioning.
Thank you. The last question has to do with TSO and the public urination bylaw. Apparently, the downtown restroom is delayed because of the state plumbing board. Could you enlighten us on that one?
Yeah, so when we put out the bid, it had to comply with the state plumbing code, and they said it did, but apparently it doesn't. So the company that owns these are the Portland Loos, are going to the state plumbing board to get permission to meet the code. So
No sense of timeline on that, or?
Don't, and it's really, really frustrating for us because we have everything set up ready.
No, I know, it's, yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, Kathy Shane.
Paul, I want to thank you for your reports. I find them really useful. So I have 2 completely unrelated questions. One on the Cherry Hill Golf Course, a working group. Can a counselor put in her name to be on that group? And, and I also am willing to try to recruit for it, because I think it's a combination of issues that you actually nicely addressed in it, that it is a golf course, but it's also used a lot by the community. And so and then in terms of recruiting the cross-country ski teams, to the extent we ever have snow again in the track, it's used in the winter months. So just getting some input on the use of the land. So it's just purely a question on that. And then my unrelated question, hearing about heat, which I fortunately missed. I got heat in Europe rather than heat in Amherst, and it was actually 95 degrees, same heat. But the North Amherst Library, do you know, when I asked Sherry this, whether there's any consideration of longer operating hours while Central Jones is closed? And she said until they were really relocated, they wouldn't figure that out, because it would also be a place that people can come in out of the heat. And we have a great community room that people could start booking for events, but it's very short operating hours right now. So 2 unrelated questions.
So first off, the town manager report is really, the credit goes to the department heads. It's the material that they provide to me that I just put into the town report. So the town manager's report. So the more information you see from a department usually reveals that they gave me more information. There's a lot of departments doing a lot of things that don't really give me the information in the time that I need to deliver to the council. So, but it's a credit to our department heads. In terms of, I think we're going to have a lot of interest on the Cherry Hill Working Group. I did not designate a seat for a town councilor. It doesn't prevent anybody who's a resident of the town from putting their name in.
So that was my question, is being a counselor, does it preclude you, you know, the way, because
I
we're an
didn't say
elected
anybody
official?
but counselors in the charge, but my instinct is that if I wanted a counselor, I would go through the council, just pick the counselor who was going, just like we did with this, you know, when there's a council seat designated, it really is the council that should choose that counselor, I believe. So I did not designate a seat for a counselor. You can certainly put or anyone can put their name in.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at, because you wanted someone with finance expertise and an ability to look at numbers, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty confident there's a lot of people who are involved in Cherry Hill who have a lot of experience in various ways. And having 2 members of the Recreation Commission, I'm pretty confident that someone with the Nordic track folks will be there.
Great.
In terms of North Amherst Library, I don't think there's any expectation to expand those hours because that would require additional expenditures by the Jones Library, by the library board. And so their staff are all working at all 3 locations, just as they always have at this point in time. The hours are back up at the new location at 101 University Drive.
Okay. Pam Rooney?
Thank you. I wanted to go back to the Independence Day celebration on July 3rd. I heard from friends at the university who were involved in the planning on the university's side that full recognition needs to go to Becky Demlin for her outstanding work. They basically described her as the sole event planner for the town for that entire thing. And this is all while she was trying to, get the summer programs started that we're going to start up, almost immediately. So I would like to make sure that Becky is recognized, and if there is support for them, I think actually their department had 1 half position cut, if I'm not mistaken. But I would, it's such a vital program. I would like to see her supported. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say that it wasn't a 1-person show. I mean, Becky was certainly the contact point for university, and she carried the load for sure. But there were a lot of hands that were in the mix and offered to be in the mix as well.
Okay, thank you. Pat DeAngelis?
Thank you. Just on that note about July 4th and other recreation events, I want to give a shout out to Ray Harp, who directs the department because of his work. He's a very quiet man, but he does excellent work and really cares about our community. I also want to thank the town for giving free passes to Mill River and the War Memorial Pool. We have them at the Survival Center, and it makes a big difference to individuals and families. I also, the temporary site at University Drive for the library, it opened today, I believe. And will they continue the practice of allowing people to sit there and cool as they did so that is information that might be good to get to some of the community.
Sure. So it opened last Monday, I believe, and they have it's on a couple floors. They have a children's room, and then they also have the main library. And if you get a chance to go down there, you should. The staff did a tremendous job.
Yeah, I have books to return.
Yeah, I think Mandy Jo was the first one to return books. And George was there too, I guess. And but I think that they don't have as much seating area as they used to have. There isn't the space that they have. It's still a space that has restrooms and.
Okay, so I can talk to some people.
Yeah, and they're going to be. They don't know what kind of volume to expect in terms of people. They do have public computers, which is always a very high priority for them. I think that it's not as much space as the Jones had. That's why I think we're seeing a bit of an uptick at the Banks Community Center, and I think we're expanding what resources for where people can go, because it seems like we're getting more heat waves. And a heat wave is defined as something, 3 consecutive days over 90 degrees. Our fire chief is really on top of it, monitoring that. And we're always getting alerts, maybe next week, let's prepare. And we have the team is really organized on this year.
Thank you. Thank you. And one more thing, which is Todd, and I apologize to him and everyone because I don't remember his last name, but he asked about getting a town trash can at the bus stop and near the North Amherst Library. What do we have to do to get that?
I'll talk to DPW about it tomorrow. We're meeting tomorrow morning. Typically, they like to put trash cans near bus stops, so that's sort of our standard operating procedure, and I can check with them.
That would be great because it would mean a lot to him. He's really done an incredible job with Puffer's Pond, keeping it clean and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it just adds another pickup point, and I think there must be going up there anyway, going up to
I bet.
Mill River, so it might be not a big deal.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Before I call on Councillor Ete, I want to second Paul's comment. Mandy Jo and George and I were all at the, if you will, the ribbon cutting for the University Drive Library. They've done a marvelous job. And one of the things that struck me as I walked by the computer area was the number of people sitting there finally being able to check on their emails. And it was, it'd been a while since they were able to do that. And some people may use that as, quote, partial cooling, but in fact, it's necessary for them to stay in touch with family and friends. Councillor Ete?
Thank you. The report mentioned that CRES is creating a year-end report, and I was wondering if there is an estimate on when the council could expect that report to be done.
So they're putting together, they have a database now that they're able to enter their data on and using Qualtrics, and that's something that they will start entering data on. So they'll be collecting data that everything they do on a daily basis. In terms of the report, I'm not sure what she said about that. Whenever it's ready, we can certainly share it with you. Oh, so Troy Research is doing doing an analysis of it, and so that researcher, I think they said there is going to be in September, October, sometime like that. In terms of, and I met with the person, Bindu from that group, and she was very pleased with the work that Cressy, and she had done some outreach work. I think she was intended to do additional outreach work. She had done outreach to the unhoused communities, to the communities of color, and to seniors. And so I think she might want to be doing some more of those outreach activities.
Thank you.
Jennifer.
Yes, I had a question about I believe the bids came in for the roof at the Jones Library, but I think it was maybe the day of the last building committee, so it wasn't on their agenda. I was just wondering if you could provide any update.
Yeah, they did. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I can certainly share them with you. I think the bids came in higher. The low bidder dropped out, who was significantly below. The second low bidder actually reduced their price, but it was still higher than than the low bidder was. So I think there's some, so it's going to cost more because we had such a good low bidder, but they don't do slate. And so because they don't do slate, we have to do slate. So I can get those numbers for you. I just don't have them off the top of my head. I can ask Bob Parent for those.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions of the town manager? Okay. Seeing none, let me just go to, I did not do an oral report, a written report. I mentioned that I was going to combine it with August, but I do want to provide an update on the discussion with the superintendent and the regional school committee chair about a joint meeting of the 4 towns and regional schools. The chairs of the select boards from Leverett, Pelham, Shutesbury, and myself met with the school superintendent and this chair of the regional school committee, school superintendent, and her staff two of her staff on July 8th. At that time, she was just returning from time away and had not read the memo nor distributed it to any of her staff. We determined that there will be no meeting on August 11 with the representatives of the four towns and the schools. The superintendent is not available that day or that evening. She then requested another meeting with the same small group that we met on July 8th. And presently that is scheduled for August 18th. And she is determined that the Mass Association of Regional Schools, or MARS, is not able to provide a facilitator that she would be okay with. However, she has requested reports from MARS that cover financial data from all four towns and the regional schools. But most of the data actually is about the towns, and it's from the Department of Revenue, and it's publicly available data. And a very, very, very small, I think there's 2 data points in the example they shared with us that is really about the schools. And so we continue to ask, try to progress on this topic. That's really not much more else to tell you. She has asked that the towns contribute to paying for these reports, and we're still having conversations about that. Are there any questions regarding that? Then let me go on to future agenda items. We meet again on the 8th. Andy.
I'm sorry, it took me a moment to get the hand up. Has the date been set now for a meeting, for an initial meeting of the group, the four-town group that?
No. Unfortunately, no.
And I guess my other comment is that what Mars would provide is all publicly available data, and I guess I don't understand what the need is to spend additional money on that particular item when a staff person with expertise at looking at financial data that's available on state websites can do so.
Andy, I think that's a very appropriate question. We were not aware of the Mars report until the actual meeting on the 8th of July. And it was only on screen that we actually saw it initially. So, and it was at that time. I've since, along with others from the group, have looked at the report, and it really, all of it is publicly available data and actually only goes back 10 years, whereas some of the trends that we need to pay attention to need to go back further than that. So we're still under discussion, and each of the towns is also looking at whether or not they are even interested in paying for it, and we're starting to see some resistance from at least one, if not 2 of the towns regarding that, for some of those very same reasons. Okay. Any other further questions on this? Under future agenda items at our meeting on the 18th of August, we'll have, I think, 2 resolutions. One I have forwarded already to GOL, and it's a Town of Amherst resolution in support of democracy and calling for the return to the constitutional principles that are the foundation of our republic. That's the working title at this time. The second, I believe, is a St. Bridget's anniversary resolution. We will possibly have a presentation update on Hickory Ridge. Action items will include 2 that we had actually hoped to be on tonight's agenda. One is the request for an easement on U Drive for the new building to go up there. Another is borrowing for the wastewater treatment plant study. That will be a referral to FinCom, and then a public forum would be held on that on September 8th. We will return to the appointments that we discussed tonight. And there will be a written president's report. I want to also mention that in September, I mean, I have asked the town manager that for one of our meetings in September, we have a robust discussion about our roads and an emphasis on a multi-year plan for how we might address the serious problem of our roads. Andy, you have your hand up. I'm sorry, I probably went on too fast.
No, that's okay. I was actually want to be recognized for counselor comments.
Okay. Are there any questions of other future agenda items? Obviously, if things come out of committee, there are several things in GOL besides the discussion we had tonight. There are several things, as Andy mentioned earlier, in TSO and CRC. So counselor comments. Andy, you had your hand up.
Yes, I did. Many of you, or probably all of you, may be aware that I published in the Amherst Current a statement about a week ago saying that I was not going to be a candidate for re-election. It was a difficult decision. I've served 2 terms on the select board, 3 terms on the council, and I felt that it was time for me to say that my service to the town is something that I valued. I have valued the support of the voters that have chosen me to represent them in townwide elections, in 5 successive elections. But everything has to have an end, and I made that decision. The reason that I made the statement through the in a written statement as I did is that I gave a lot of thought to, my observations about where the town of Amherst is after my 5 terms of service on 2 different governing boards. And so I encourage everybody to read it, because I really did give a lot of thought to what I put forward. But I think that my biggest concern, and I say this to all of you who are running for re-election and hoping to come back, you've got a big challenge ahead of you. And whoever is on this council has a big challenge ahead. Amherst is always had a lot of ambitions, and our ambitions always have exceeded our capacity to really do all that citizens would like to have happen, simply because we're in a unique situation with the large number of acres of a large percentage of our land that is not taxable because it's in nonprofit organizations or entities or conservation land or whatever reason. There's been a very strong, long tradition of not wanting large development that ended up going to Hadley. As a result, we have a higher than normal, for a city of this size, amount of land that goes into taxation as residential property. And when you put the 2 of those together, it means that we have a very high tax rate. And as I looked at the list, we are the 15th highest among 352 municipalities. And that means we have a high tax rate, which puts a lot of pressure on us, and is going to put a lot of pressure on the next council. Somebody's going to say, what about an override? And it will be a very difficult decision for the council. It'll be a very difficult decision for the voters. So there's a lot of choice that is going to have to be made. And I did my best over all these terms to try and be a part of that discussion, but I'm confident that the voters are going to choose counselors who are going to make the wise choices of what the priorities need to be. Those of you who are running for reelection, I wish you well in the election process, and hope that we can continue, that I can continue to have communication with all of you when I am no longer on the council. So that was what I wanted to share with you.
Thank you, Andy. It's just a reminder, we still have 5.5 more months of this council. So we have plenty of time to say goodbye to people that have chosen not to run. Are there any other councilor comments? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn and seek a second.
Second, DeAngelis.
Okay, we'll move immediately to a vote. I believe in this case, we start with Councilor Lord.
Aye.
Pam Rooney,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Kathy Shane,
Yes.
Andy Steinberg,
Yes.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
Councilor Walker,
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis,
Aye.
Anna Devlin Gothier,
Aye.
Councilor Ette,
Aye.
Lynn Griesemer is an aye, Councilor Haneke,
Aye.
Bob Hagner.
Aye.
The meeting's adjourned. It's 8:22. Thank you very much.